If you think you're about to file a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7 and you're really worried about the estate, you definitely 100% need to speak to that person before you file. You need to find out, how much really are we going to be getting? Can we protect it with Georgia exemptions? If not, no matter what, somebody should be meeting with an estate planning attorney on a regular basis. And if they say, well, I met with this great estate planning attorney 20 years ago, don't worry, we've got it all covered. BS. Tax laws change, a lot of laws change. I personally believe that an estate plan needs to be updated at least every 3 to 4 years. Things just change.
Welcome to the Bankruptcy Podcast, a podcast about untangling the complex world of bankruptcy in Georgia. Each week, we deliver the best insights and practical advice on how to navigate the legal waters of bankruptcy with expert guidance and real-life stories. Now here's your host, Jeff Kelly.
Hello, this is Jeff Kelly, and in today's podcast, I want to talk about inheritance. Oh my gosh, what do? You're worried about this inheritance that some relative has worked so hard for their whole lives. They're about to pass away. They're about to leave it to you. How is your possible bankruptcy going to affect that? And that is a question you definitely need to ask before you file, and you definitely need a crystal clear answer before anything gets filed with the court. So let me go through my 2 cents worth here, and I can go over some general guidelines. So, when you have an asset that cannot be fully protected by Georgia exemptions, then that asset can be taken by a trustee and that can be used to pay your debts. So what do you do when you're talking about a large amount of money, an expensive piece of land? Is there any type of an exemption that's going to protect all of your inheritance? And the answer is, if the inheritance is worth more than $10,000, no. We do have a wildcard exemption in the state of Georgia that we can use to protect small inheritances. But what if you've got something big? Okay. Well, the answer is you really need to go talk to that person that you've been told you're going to inherit something from before you file bankruptcy. I know this is can be a very difficult conversation, but there are steps that can be taken by the person who owns these assets that's about to pass away and leave to you that could potentially, protect you from losing it. And the answer is for them to not leave it directly to you, but instead leave it to a trust. And you can be the beneficiary of the trust. You would definitely want to have this person meet with a very experienced estate planner who understands trust and how they should be written in such a way to protect them from creditors, to protect them from a bankruptcy trustee. And if it's a good, decent written trust, it's not that hard to do, then your relatives can leave whatever they want to you and your creditors can't touch it. There's something that the trust has to have basically called a spendthrift provision, which basically says your creditors don't have rights to it ever, ever, ever. And then you're good to go. There's a lot of good reasons to meet with a good, solid estate planning attorney. Anyway, you would be amazed at how many people just have significant amount of assets and they don't think through the tax consequences, and then the IRS gets way more than they would have otherwise had that person, gone to a good certified estate planner. When there's other heirs, if some other heir is not satisfied and there's something vague about the estate, they can hold it up in court for years. And that's not good for anybody. Then, the estate gets eaten up by attorney's fees, which really stinks for the person that's worked their whole life. People need to meet with a professional estate planning attorney for so many reasons, especially if they're going to be leaving to money to somebody that might be filing bankruptcy or might have some issues in the future with creditors. There are good, solid steps to avoid taxes, to avoid setting up a situation where somebody gets an inheritance and then it all goes up in smoke. In a Chapter 7 situation, there's something called the 180-day rule. And if you inherit anything within 180 days, the Chapter 7 trustee has to be notified. And they will step in and they will take control of the estate. And they will charge a lot of money per hour because they are expensive. And that's what's going to happen. So if you think you're about to file a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7 and you're really worried about the estate, you definitely 100% need to speak to that person before you file. You need to find out, how much really are we going to be getting? Can we protect it with Georgia exemptions? If not, no matter what, somebody should be meeting with an estate planning attorney on a regular basis. And if they say, well, I met with this great estate planning attorney 20 years ago, don't worry, we've got it all covered. BS. Tax laws change. A lot of laws change. I personally believe that an estate plan needs to be updated at least every 3 to 4 years. Things just change.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. If you're intrigued by the world of bankruptcy and want a comprehensive guide to help you get out of debt, head on over to kellycanhelp.com/welcome and subscribe to our email list to have a guide to bankruptcy in Georgia, helping people get out of debt delivered right to your inbox. Now back to the show.
So that's my 2 cents worth. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you want some other general guidelines on Chapter 13 and Chapter 7, I have written a free guide to bankruptcy in the state of Georgia. You can download this at my website, www.kellycanhelp.com. I've also got a podcast website where you can download past episodes at kellybankruptcy.com. I've also got a YouTube channel with a lot of videos as well. And it doesn't cost anything to talk with us. So if you're interested in discussing Chapter 13 or Chapter 7, you can go to my website and you can schedule the appointment yourself just by clicking on free case evaluation, and you can pick a date and a time that works for you, and we will call you then. Or just pick up the phone and give us a call, 770-881-8449. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Bankruptcy Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, kellybankruptcy.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you liked this show, you might want to check out our guide to bankruptcy in Georgia, helping people get out of debt. Available at kellycanhelp.com/welcome. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode.